Hello, everybody. If you are here, you're in the right spot. We are here for our Digits webinar. So very good to see everybody today. Gonna go ahead and get started as people still sort of trickle in, and we'll get this thing rolling. So welcome. This is a very special episode today. This is for our 2025 year in review predictions and then our 2026 predictions. If you see my hands, it's like a crystal ball here today. And we're here at holiday season, which you can tell because both Chris and I are wearing festive, accidentally similar colored shirts.
Unplanned, unplanned.
Chris, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Happy holidays, Dave. Excited to riff on annual predictions here. I know this has become a little bit of an ongoing tradition for us. So, yeah, been a big year for Target and for retail. So excited to dive in and see what kind of takes we've got here.
Awesome. Well, I'll get this set up in a minute, but first I'm going to do just a little bit of a Digits intro for anybody that's here that is maybe a little new to Digits and saw our webinar through a friend or saw us on LinkedIn and decided to join today. So, Digits, we are a leading independent retail media agency. We are based here out of Minneapolis. Founded in 2016, so coming up on our 10-year anniversary, but experts in all things retail media and promotions in an omni-channel world. We operate a flagship support office for Target, again, based out of Minneapolis. A lot of us are former Target Roundel folk, and so not surprising, we have expertise sort of in the Target space. A lot of you on the call are probably associated with Target. Probably about half of you are, just based on some of the numbers that we've seen. We are national in reach. So we do work into, for us, tier one would be Walmart and Instacart retailers, and then pretty much supporting any other omni-channel retailer beyond that. We also do support regional grocers. And so some of you on the call are from our regional grocer work, where we're agencies of record for Schnucks, Fairway, Coburn's, Vroom, and a growing network of regional grocers. Within this space, we do support vendors, food, bev, grocery, baby, and then a big chunk of alcohol vendors as well. So there will be predictions today for kind of all those buckets. Two plugs before we get into it. One, if you're new to Target, go on our website, digitsagency.com, and fill out a Target Circle market share report. We'll get you some data based on what promotions Target's running in this space. Kind of an underused promo engine at Target Circle, and we can let you know what vendors in your brand set are doing. So fill that out. And then last plug, different than normal, Digits is hiring. So if you or a friend are interested in joining the Digits team, we are hiring a retail media planner. I just posted this to LinkedIn in the last couple of days. Essentially somebody wanting to come work for Digits, work for me, that really can help vendors drive their business through retail media. A lot of search work, really helping drive the day in, day out success through Target and or through other retailers as well. So those are my two plugs. With that, you guys have already met Chris, but I'm gonna sort of intro how we're gonna do this today. So every year I like to make predictions for the year. We're gonna go through last year's, and then I'm gonna reveal one by one this year. Now, Chris has not seen these, so this is true podcast style fun, where Chris has not seen the predictions because you guys haven't seen them. And so, Chris should get them. And then I'll make my little case of why I think these are going to happen. And then Chris is going to sort of like buy or sell each one and tell us whether he agrees or not. So, Chris, are you up for that?
Oh, love it. Yeah, I'm game. We'll have some some raw reactions here, but I think I like the spirit of how we're approaching it this year.
And I'd say, folks on the call, feel free to put yours in, or if you have questions, so go into the Zoom Q&A is what we will use. And so if you have a question or if you have a prediction and you want our point of view on it, feel free to put it in there. We'll answer it either as they come or at the end. We'll save time for sort of user submitted type Q&A within the space. So with that, I will start flipping through. So first thing we're going to do is look at last year. And I feel pretty good. I made 12 predictions last year, 8 on the green, 4 on the not yets. And this is self-reported. I would say self-scored as far as green or not. So big ones at Target that came through. New leadership with the CEO, Michael Fidelki, announced. Target return to office. We predicted that. That came through in the summer. Target Circle partnerships. Roundel onsite video that came through. They're doing own brand video ads. We talked about predicting Target Plus growth. That has been a big theme of earnings calls with Target Plus. We spoke about AI agents, Amazon Rufus, Sparky launched, Target ChatGPT program launched. We talked about a growing third-party market. So there's grocery deals. KCL just launched a coupon app. Benny is a program that's out there launching deals. So that growth of that area. And then we talked about smaller RMNs partnering up to make scale. And I'd say the flagship for that is Hy-Vee pulled in Carrot Ads, which is sort of one of the larger retailers to sort of plug into a national network there. And so there's some other things with Ripple and some other partnerships that it puts out one in the green. On the yellow side, we predicted Target would launch 8112 coupons. That did not happen, but still might. Fast forward to predictions. We thought Target would announce reduced fees. They kind of talked about it at some of their events, but nothing groundbreaking coming through as reduced fees. So we put that in the yellow. We hoped Roundel would launch out self-serve display, more similar to a Walmart or an Instacart. We did not see that. Newsflash, I don't have that on the predictions for this year. I'm still hopeful that they will, but they've been dragging their feet there, so I'm not fully sure. And then the merger. So there were some rumors that Target might merge or do some acquisitions there. I think I put rumors are starting to heat up a little bit again, just with the CEO change. So that's always on the back burner. But I'd say nothing real hot. But Chris, any one of these to highlight as far as either acknowledge that it happened or any of the not yets that you think are coming around?
I mean, high level, like a lot of hits. So great to see. I mean, I think if we can have a similar track record at this point, next year we'll feel pretty good about it. I mean, kind of scanning the list, the top two are the big ones, and I think the ones that we were, really looking to come to fruition. Not looking to come to fruition, but expected would be probably the biggest deal at Target, and I think we certainly, saw some of that. I think for the not yet, I think the two that I'm going to be looking for the most are 1 and 3. I know we've been pretty deep into the 8112 universal coupon space. We are getting some positive signals that although it's probably not going to come yet here in 2025, pretty soon in probably first half of 2026. And then the other one, gosh, it almost feels further away than it did at this point last year. But when looking at Roundel self-serve display, and when we say self-serve display, specifically on site, I know that's something that they've been, working towards for a while now. I don't know if it'll come to life in 2026, but I do know, from folks we're connected with there that it is a goal of theirs to roll out at some point.
Yeah, I hope so too. But I gotta get 100% in this year, Chris. So I didn't want to put that one on there because I don't own that one, and I'm not sure.
No losses, only not yet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're never wrong. You're just early. Yeah, there we go.
That's the way we'll treat it. Okay, well, we're shifting forward to Target. So 6 Target predictions. I got the Target lady there to get this fun. So first one, just to sort of, because this is the only carryover prediction, but I did put Target launches 8112 universal coupons. We've talked a lot about that within our client base. It's the only one from the not yet that I'm carrying over. Chris, I'm not going to even have you respond because you already touched on it. And so we'll sort of put this one behind us. But that's our number 1 carryover. Okay, number 2. This one, and so I'm putting numbers behind this one, but I am calling it, this is the year of paid search at Target. So we have seen a big uptick within, I'd say, digits clients, both large and small, in the last 6 months as far as the interest in paid search. And so I'm putting a number on it. I'd say total for Target is going to grow 25%. Roundel basic is probably growing around 10, 15 next year. I think they said they were 18 year to date this year. So that's where I have it. That's where our number's at. So Chris, one more selling point, and then I'm going to turn it back to you. The other selling point is, if you haven't heard, they are testing and likely rolling out competitive conquesting as well at Target. And so what that means is you can actually bid on other branded terms, which Today you can't. And so that will feed into this 25% as well. So Chris, tell me your thoughts. Are you buying or are you selling here?
Uh, Nice to start with a nice meatball over the plate here. I'm buying this one, Dave. And candidly, I think 25% could even be, a little bit conservative. I think um with the rollout that we assume is likely of competitive conquesting alone, I think that will drive to that number. Kind of early guidance that we've received some Roundel folks is, plan to spend about 20% more, just as a baseline, which I was a little bit surprised. I felt that was conservative in kind of that number that they shared there. But no, I mean, search has only continued to grow at Target, and I think the rollout of the competitive conquesting in particular will be a big tipping point. On top of them adding a pretty premium slot in slot number 3 just this past year as well, about midway through the year. So a lot of tailwinds on Target search business. I think more and more dollars will continue to flow into that channel. How about you?
Uh, well, I like it because I predicted it. So I think that I definitely am buying it. This one I feel pretty strongly about. So whether or not it's 25 or maybe the number's a little different, I think it could be even higher to your point of being conservative. But I've already stole my own thunder because I just shared my screen and I put number 3 up there. So we're moving forward here. So number 3 for me is Target launches its own AI chat or discovery experience in the Target app. So they just launched this out with ChatGPT, shoot, in the last couple of weeks. If you haven't tried it out, those of you on the call, go give it a shot. But to me, this feels a bit like a layup in the idea that Amazon Rufus already has it. Walmart already has it with Sparky. So why wouldn't Target roll out their own AI chatbot soon? What I don't know is if they're going to develop it themselves or are they going to partner with somebody like a ChatGPT to essentially own it, but live inside the app within this space. So, Chris, what do you think?
I'm a little bit split on this one, Dave. So I
It's
am
okay. You don't have to buy them all. It's
no, no,
okay.
no, and I think that's
Yeah.
that's the point of the format, right? So I'm buying that yes, Target is going to do it because we've already seen some signs that they're rolling out some capabilities like this. Um, I'm going to sell that Target is going to be able to execute it to a level and that guests are going to adopt it to a degree that it's going to make an actual like material impact on their business. I think there's still room to improve, but from the like initial tools and offerings that they've rolled out here so far, sample size of 1, but I have not been impressed with the little bit of testing that I've done in that space. And I remain a little bit skeptical just what the penetration upside is going to be for folks using these tools. So I certainly think that it will appeal to some people, but will it have deep penetration where half or more of target guests are using this to drive purchase decisions and build their baskets?
All right, noted. I
So
feel
where
pretty confident they're going to launch. The prediction is that they're going to launch it. And so we'll see. We've got 12 months for that to sort of happen, I think.
I think you're probably more bullish on it, but why is that the case, and kind of what gives you a little bit more confidence?
I mean, I think that they're going to feel that they need to. I mean, it's a pretty basic statement, but Walmart, Amazon already have it. I think the implications is Target's going to feel the need to. They already have a partnership with OpenAI, just sort of pull that into the experience. It could be incremental benefits of just search. I mean, today Target search is so basic. I think it's half of our volume is on like top 3 keywords for most searches, and they're just like one
Mhm.
word searches. That even it might even just roll into the search bar of, what are the best diapers for me? And then the responses will come back and won't just be a product search. There'll be some sort of generative AI experience there. But I think the target shopper is going out of the app today to do all that, whether it be Gemini, ChatGPT, whatever. And so somebody at Target's going to say, we need to keep that in house, right? And it's going to start to roll that out. And we'll see where it goes. But I think the implications to vendors is if slash when, how are you making sure your stuff shows up? I mean, you need to make sure it shows up well on open market AI now, but in target AI will be a different, different data set. So
Yeah, and I think that'll be a really big, deal if it takes hold from just like a digital shelf in content. Vendors are more accustomed to building digital shelf content around like legacy kind of keyword based search. When you're kind of bringing in agentic like conversational AI, it's a whole different ball game for how you write your content for the digital shelf. So definitely something for vendors to keep on their radar as Target rolls that out. Like, how do you optimize your digital shelf to make sure, to your point, that you're showing up?
all right, we are moving on to number four. Number four, here we go. And this is my only one, I think, where I have a graphic. And so getting fancy here with graphics. But my number four is vendors start to push back on what I am calling the target handcuffs within this space. And so what I mean by that are, trade funds and shopper funds largely being predetermined into three main buckets for Target. So one, Roundel managed service dollars. Two, category promo funds. Target loves their category promos and they ask vendors to fund those. And then three, digital accrual funds, which, are still pretty ubiquitous across most of the store. So what I'm saying here is that I'd estimate, 80, 90% of vendor dollars are sort of predetermined under these three buckets. And that's really limited vendors from being able to do third-party programs, influencer programs, some things on TikTok or Meta or things that on their own or their brand teams, like really tapping into other ways to reach target shoppers that, maybe historically would cast a wider net and bring in new people and diversify actions. That business has dried up over the last couple of years because so much money's through what I'm calling here the target handcuffs. So I think this is the year that vendors will start push back a little bit. Now, fast forwarding to 12 months, how do I determine this one's a success? Because it's not a just specific metric. And I think it'll be a little bit more of a feeling. And so I'll have to grade myself on a scale, I think, on this one. But it's a big enough trend that I wanted to call it out as a prediction. So, Chris, what's your reaction?
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit more qualitative than quantitative for sure. I'm buying both from the perspective of like we're already seeing some signs that this is happening, right? Especially around like category promotions that we've seen really grown over the past year or two. Vendors are pushing back on those. There are conversations happening on like if and to what extent, vendors should be funding those. So I think that's already happening, but I'm also buying that Target is going to be receptive to that feedback and a little bit more willing to collaborate and partner with vendors to allow vendors to help them drive their business. Seeing some of that as well as we close out the year, and I think that will continue. Coming out of the big like Fidelki and layoffs announcement, I know one of the separate predictions we made is, really latching on to some of the comments around like returning to merchandising authority. And I think that is going to be a big driver of that piece, is that, buyers, we hope, will be empowered a little bit more to make decisions that, drive their business the way they best know how to run it. And I think part of that is, being able to say yes to vendor ideas and proposals to support each of their categories.
I like it. Yeah, we're seeing little bits of it today. I mean, it's more of all of the money is going into like the same tactics. And
Mhm.
Roundel gives options in Meta and gives options in TikTok, but they're all sort of hitting similar audiences and similar tactics. And I think at other retailers, we have seen a more diversified approach as a way to drive traffic and engagement and whatnot. And I think vendors will be like, oh, I've done this at Walmart and it's worked. I've done this at Amazon, it's worked, or other places, and they're going to try to start pushing back more on Target, I think, to bring some of that.
I agree. And you and I have
Yeah.
talked about that a lot too, right? Like this whole theme of like has Target kind of settled into talking to the same echo chamber of guests, and obviously they've had some challenges in their business this year. um I think there will just be more openness to like, all right, how do we find those, lapsed guests or new guests that aren't in our target ecosystem today. And the way to do that is, offsite, and third party in a lot of cases.
All right, transitioning back onto the next one. So you made a comment, Chris, which leads into the next one. So for my big unveil
Uh-oh.
here is well, the merchandising authority. So, their point about trying to be merchant authority. So I tried to think through, well, how do I define that? And back to my target days, what does that mean to them? Right? Like, what does that mean? And so it's a little outside the retail media scope, but my prediction in this space is that they will announce the relaunch of two or more billion-dollar brands, because when nobody loves to throw away and reborn billion-dollar brands as much as Target does. Between All in Motion, they got rid of. Circo, it was a brand a long time ago they got rid of, and so they kind of fold them into the next brand. But from a measurable point of view, I think Target's going to say we need to reinstate our merchant authority. So that's going to be either home or A&A or some other business where they're going to take a huge established own brand and rebrand it and relaunch it and try to make a big deal out of it. Whether they can do this in 12 months, maybe that's probably the risk in my prediction. Like, this probably already got to be in motion a little bit for this to come through. But I do say announce, not launch. And so we'll have to see in this space. So, Chris, thoughts on this one?
Ooh, a little bit on the fence.
Not as good on this one.
No. I'm there with you on, I think it's going to happen. I'm gonna have to put it in the not yet category by the end of 2026. So I'm there with you. I think it's gonna come to light. I think that is going to be a good example of what return to merchandising authority means. They haven't had, a ton of, restaging of their own brands recently, or any, like, they had the champion launch and a couple others here and there, but there haven't been as many big ones. But I think the timeline piece, unless there's some stuff already in the pipeline and you're putting a 2+ number behind it, I'm going to put it in the not yet bucket. But we come back here this time again next year. If it hasn't happened, I'll be a little bit more bullish for 27.
Got it. We'll see. I like it. I nobody likes to change up billion-dollar businesses as much as those own brands. So whether it's food, I mean, food hasn't been updated in a while.
That's a big one. I'd be looking out
Yeah.
for.
And I have no insider knowledge here. I have not heard from a friend that they are already. So this is, would be sort of new in this space. But
no, but I like going a little bit further out on a limb with that one.
well, I'd say if it's not this, I mean, your idea of reestablished merchant authority is, what is it? What big announcement are they going to make? Is it going to be designer partnerships? Is it going to be own brands? Like, it's going to be something in that world. And just nailing down what it is might be a little tough, but something in that space.
I mean, the other one to add in that space too, that we've seen definitely the back half of this year, there's definitely been a tops down push to bring in new brands, new items. Like, you think back to the past couple earnings calls, like they're touting, how many new, items into assortment to stand by, uniqueness. I have questions around the sustainability of continuing to do that. Like, it's expensive and inefficient to stand up those new partnerships, and this might be, a little bit more aspirational of where our bread is buttered with, big CPGs. But I think there are opportunities for innovation that they can bring in within, the current big CPG set, that they might have more confidence in, that, is going to really drive their business, drive velocity, from a unit consumption perspective. So I think I think that pendulum could swing back a little bit in that, yes, there will continue to be new assortment coming into Target, but not necessarily meaning, completely new brands or vendors pulling from the existing CPG ecosystem.
Well, I like it. I'm gonna be a little flexible on my grading scale here for myself. So we'll see. I'll hold myself accountable. If they launch a billion-dollar brand with a CPG or something, maybe I'll count that as a
That'll be
design
halfway, right?
exclusive or
Right.
something in the space. Well, all right, we got number six, and number six is our last Target specific prediction. Then we get into some alcohol ones, and then we get into sort of just general more industry a little bit. So 12 total in the space. So number six, another left turn, I would say, as far as area of influence here, and you're gonna have to hear me out because I'm gonna explain it, is what I'd say. But a Target non-food category, I would say, innovates on their distribution model. So what SBT means is scan-based trading, or DSD, direct to store delivery, like soda and chips, and some frozen businesses have done, or question mark something else. And so my point here is we've all seen LinkedIn posts of in-stock problems at Target, right? They're struggling to keep shelves full. And we've also heard that their distribution network is largely near capacity. So they're getting product up and through and scheduled through the DCs and stored and backroom inventory, all that is like it's full. And that's some of the reasons I think why their in-stock challenges are there. It's just that their supply chain network is it's constrained a bit. And so the question would be, well, why do they keep talking about trading cards so much on the earnings call? Earnings trading cards are scan-based trading. Literally, somebody walks in, puts the product on the shelf, and it works. And so my thought here is, how do they solve some in-stock problems without just more backroom inventory and product through the DCs? And so there's some sort of solution in the space that they might think through. So with that as a long setup, Chris, what's your response?
Qualifying question. For this to be true, does this imply omni-channel, both e-com and in-store?
Sure. It's something to
Okay.
me is like I'm kind of giving Target credit that somebody's gonna think out of the box. They're gonna launch something that instead of just trying to drive more boxes through a pipe that obviously right now is not quite working quite right, that somebody's gonna be like, ooh, what if we did this instead? Right? That's I guess where I'm kind of going. But
Okay. Um, I'm gonna buy this one. It's a little bit further outside my wheelhouse. I'll say that first, but for the background that you shared, like certainly something adjacent to trading cards because they have a success for a template there. Um, the in stocks and the inventory issue has been ongoing for shoot 12 to 24 months at least it feels like. So I think they will be open to test and learn opportunities here at a minimum, if not something rolled out at wide scale.
and that's even I think the reason I also wanted to bring this one up is for any vendors on the call is how do you guys help Target in this space? Like I know Target has moved some food businesses away from DSD and into distribution. And looking backwards on it, was that the right choice? I think you have to go case by case to figure it out, but it's certainly their in stocks, their distribution channels have been challenged. A lot of vendors don't like it and are pushing back. And so like, what are ways to fix it? That, Target maybe what might be on board, whether the be food or not. But this specific prediction was written that way. So.
I
All
like
right.
it.
Shifting gears to Elk Bev. I know we Digits does a lot of alcohol work in retail media. We had a lot of Elk brands register for the webinar. So wanted to make sure we have specific Elk Bev today. And so three Elk Bev predictions, a cheers graphic in this space here. So number one, and I got this submitted in partnership with Mallory. So Mallory and our team leads up a lot of our Elk work. And so specifically here, the prediction is that THC drinks are on a path to a federal rollout. And if you live in Minnesota, THC drinks are very prevalent. There's 24 feet at top 10 liquors on THC drinks. And there's some legislation slipped in, I think last month, to the budget bill where they got like 12 months, I think, to figure that out within THC. And I'm not a super legal expert here, but I know people have been a little worried that within 12 months they won't be able to sell them. And other industry experts I've talked to have more seen this as a deadline to get governmental regulation stuff just figured out. And they're predicting it'll just get figured out at some point, and it'll be on a path to more federal taxed, legislated, whatever rollout sometime next year. So, Chris, I know THC is a little bit more outside of your core functions, but what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, when the federal announcement came out, a month ago, it certainly was like presented as doom and gloom, and I think the additional context you provided there was helpful, and I think the likely path of where it's probably headed. So, I am buying this one. I mean, to your point, I think it's been a rocket ship of an industry, certainly, like, displacing alcohol in some regards. But um to your point, it's hard to imagine such a growth industry just getting completely vaporized overnight. Not to say that it can't happen, but just with, for economic reasons, certainly, it's hard to imagine that they don't get something figured out here in 12 months. So
Agreed.
I am buying that one.
I like it. And then if you are local, Target is testing THC, I believe, in 10 stores, specifically the Plymouth store, if you're in that neighborhood, and others. So give them a shot. Any federal registration will probably help this industry actually organize a little bit more nationally, because today it's a lot of mom and pops, a lot of
And
bottoms
state
up,
level.
yeah, very kind of limited distribution type brands. And so regulation would help it actually get a little organized. So I realized I skipped 7. So hopefully nobody saw it. I'm not sure how I got to 8 before I got to 7. So we're going to go back. There we go. All right. Prediction number 7. So this one is a major retailer launches alcohol on-site ads. Now, for grocery vendors, this might not mean a lot to you, but alcohol space is weird as far as retail media. And so today, no major elk retailer, Total Wines, Walmart, Targets, Kroger, whatever, has on-site ads there because you can't incent purchases. But this space has sort of opened up. A ton of major retailers are doing first-party off-site, led mostly by Walmart in the space and then others. And we are hearing rumblings that more of them want to offer it on-site within the space with paid ads, which would turn it more like food and more. We're obviously predicting Target paid search up 25%. So it would kind of get into that swing. You can already do paid ads on site today for Uber, for DoorDash, for Instacart, for GoPuff, for a lot of other marketplace stuff. And we're just predicting it'll start to slide over this year. So, Chris, any thoughts from what you've heard in this space?
You know, I I want to buy this one because I think it would be great for the industry. When I think through the hurdles that need to be cleared for it to happen for 2026, I'm going to sell this one. Aspirationally, I would love for it to happen. I think the revenue potential for RMNs would be big, certainly, but I think um, just the hoops and the red tape that need to be, covered off on. Um, I don't think it'll happen within the next calendar year, and I think when you stack those up against the rev potential, I think it may lead to other and different opportunities for elk bev brands to invest in RMN or RMN like opportunities, but on site I'm going to sell for 2026 as a not yet.
All right. Well, again, never wrong, just early. So even if I'm wrong here, it'll happen someday.
Right.
So, okay, moving on to number 9. Last one, an elk. So, Chris, I need to ask, are you familiar with the term zebra striper? And if not, the prediction is you will be familiar with it by the end of the year. So, the way I'm wrapping this one up, is in this space, low and or not NA has become such a trend within the space. Restaurant menus, Target launched their own brand out, I believe Barrow, if I'm remembering exactly right, like in the space. Even in my own personal network, I have a lot more people that I never would have thought would drink NA beer or drinking NA beer. And so I think that that is just a obviously growing trend. Um, and what I believe the youngsters call it is zebra striping, where it might be, some days you're drinking, some days you're not. So black, white,
Oh, okay, okay.
sometimes.
I was gonna ask. I had not heard the term.
Oh,
I was curious, like what the origins or implications of. But
yeah, or even in one night, right? Like flashing back to my early 20s, right? Like if you're gonna have a couple of drinks, they're all beer, right? Or they're all cocktails, where this might be you have a drink and then you have a bubbly water and then maybe you have a cocktail. Like it just kind of going back and forth, being ambidextrous, if you will, sort of in that space. So for fun, that's how I'm saying, success. I will call this a success if it just keeps growing. But that's sort of just the way of sort of like how would we know that it's hit mainstream if that term is more ubiquitous, 10 months from now.
I'm gonna buy this one, Dave. Both from what I and we have kind of been observing in the industry, and then just on a personal level as well. Like myself, friends, acquaintances. I think it's definitely becoming a trend of and just the merchandising behind it has gotten a lot better. There's a lot more like actual good NA beer offerings as an example there, that just make it more appealing and accessible to a lot of social traditionally alcohol drinkers as well. So yeah, I'm with you on this one, and I'm going to buy the zebra striping.
I like it. Thank you for your support. All right, we are now shifting into our industry predictions. So three industry predictions, mostly grocery space, retail space, sort of in this spot. So first one, very near and dear to Digits' core. Local digital grocery wars heat up is the way that I'm phrasing this. And specifically, Walmart, we have heard, is opening up hundreds of what they call these Spark fulfillment centers, which is sort of a dark store so that they're not having to fulfill, e-com grocery orders off of a shelf, right? They're able to fulfill them out of a dark store, so it improves speed and locality and whatnot. Amazon's already rolling out. I put a post out in our newsletter that they finally rolled out to my suburban neighborhood, and so I'm able to get groceries on easily added to any of my Amazon orders. And so this one's not a wow change moment, but specifically into our Target space, Target and Shipt have had and Instacart have had a good moat a little bit that I think is starting to get cracked. And not even a moat, but Walmart's probably going to really invest a lot of dollars in this space, and same as Amazon. So that's the prediction. Chris, are you buying or selling?
This is going to be a split one for me. So I am buying, and it split by fulfillment method. So I am buying pickup fulfillment center, from it's not a store, but from the fulfillment center. If that is a fulfillment model or any retailers that do that, I think that is going to be a win both from just penetration and adoption, as well as like we've really seen it at Target, just easing the constraints of like team members needing to fulfill online orders. I think that will certainly be a win. You've also got tailwinds in folks returning to office, right? So a lot of us that were working from home delivery of groceries was a more or the most convenient option, I think, as folks are, commuting to and from the office a little bit more these days. Just more convenient to, stop somewhere to pick up a grocery order. So on the other side of that, selling, home delivery of groceries. So I think it'll still be there. It will exist. It will be offered to those consumers that want it. But I think it's peaked or pretty close to peaking in terms of like upside or penetration. Like groceries are expensive these days. You add a premium of, a delivery fee. In some cases, they're, increasing the prices on items that are, made available for home delivery of groceries. Um, I don't see that side of it, growing much more beyond where it is today. But yes, certainly from like continuing to offer a drive up option, both as a utilization side and then also just like operational efficiency for the retailers. I am buying that side of it for sure.
Well, I like it. Yeah, it's nobody really makes money in digital grocery delivery. I mean, to that space.
Right. You
Like,
kind of stack all of these like, fulfillment expenses on top of each other. And that's the other side of it, right?
yeah, I mean, I think I'm more of a buyer in that space than you are, but that's partially personal because I do a bunch of grocery delivery myself. But I think there are economic headwinds in that space that, maybe it won't, the delivery part might struggle to grow unless Amazon or somebody keeps funding it and they're doing it, I don't want to say for free, but they're okay not making money on the space
Right.
because it's just really hard to get groceries to somebody's doorstep and not charge them extra money for it. So,
Right. Yes. At the end of the day, someone is going to be paying for that, delivery, and it's probably going to be the consumer, somewhere. So,
um,
um,
okay. Next one, let me share it up again. This one was submitted through a conversation with Dylan. So Dylan leads up our regional grocer work. So this one is a take on sort of last year we had this idea of scale and RMN's partnering up. This one is similar, except for a programmatic display rolls out across mid and regional grocers. So for those unfamiliar with the space, what that means is there's a ton of programmatic paid search. So your Criteos, your Carrot ads, that's all programmatic paid search managed by one central house and then, distributes out to all these different retailers. Now, display doesn't really work that way today. Carrot ads is a bit of that, if you will, but that's sort of across their network. And I think we're just seeing enough at conferences. We're seeing enough media publishers, things even within Trade Desk. Like instead of Trade Desk today, you're buying all off-site. Can you start to buy on-site display via Trade Desk at these major retailers? And so a trend in this space. Here, we're specifically saying mid and regionals just because that's the area that has the biggest difficulty with scale and national reach today, but it could apply really, the whole retail media network. So, Chris, buying or selling?
I'm buying this one. And I think, the space is certainly ripe for it as a way to achieve scale. I'm also very curious about if and how AI enters this space in terms of like execution of campaigns. If you think about, a vast network of regionals where your assortment is carried, um, a way to kind of more programmatically execute creative for on-site display, depending on the assortment that you have carried at each one of those retailers, and um, not only be able to execute the media programmatically, but like build the creative around that more programmatically, and leveraging AI tools to do that. I think
Yeah. There's a
that's one of the biggest, like, it sounds like very boring and executional, but that is a really big constraint in that space of just the time and effort it takes to build the campaigns and the creative and plan things out. And I think that's where programmatic is really going to set those regionals up for efficiency.
Yeah, I think absolutely. The creative, I could make 30 predictions, so I have to hold myself back. So one I did not make was creative AI. But I do think we've been talking to a company called Native Ads, which is plugged in. They just plugged into Walmart. They plugged into some others where the generative AI creates your creative. And if you don't want to create the beginning, you can at least create all the versions. And so that is something I'll give them a little plug. If anybody's on the call looking for AI companies, they're great. Always reach out to us. We can get you set up with them as well. But that space will certainly be growing. All right, we are running against time, so I got a last prediction. A quick plug again. If anybody wants to make one or get us to react to one, put it in the chat. We're just about running out on time here. All right, last one. Can't finish it up without having another AI prediction because it is the year of AI. So the way that we're bringing this one to life is AI chatbots. So specifically, think ChatGPT externally, or we talked about Target rolling out one online. I'd say by nature, they're going to favor niche and I'd say faster, challenging brands. Because if you think about the questions you ask these guys, like, how do I get my baby to eat healthy? Right? Like, that's content that, say, these niche and smaller brands are going to be building out. So, because of that, AEO or agentic experience optimization, I believe, or there's different ways to use that term. So, if somebody else has one, that'll be the new buzzword, I'd say, in large CPGs. Because I'm predicting come like summer, you're going to have these big CPG companies that are going to start to report earnings that aren't going to be great. And they're going to be like, oh, our traffic was down 5% because OpenAI sent all this traffic to these small emerging brands. And then it's just going to create a cavalcade of work if it hasn't already, to be honest. But that's going to be like the new like digital center of excellence is going to be like AI agentic center of excellence. And we'll start to see that flow out. So it's a little bit broad, but Chris, are you buying or selling, or how do you react to that?
I'm buying this one. And my initial thought is it feels a little bit at odds with me selling, Target adoption of agentic AI or being able to roll it out at a level next year that, makes a material impact on their business. But I do think that at least some retailers will figure that out and be able to do it well. Hopefully Target is one of them. We'll see, but by back half of next year, and yes, you're absolutely right. Kind of smaller challenger brands that are able to move a little bit faster in that space will be set up to have their assortments recommended more favorably than their competitive set.
Yeah, I think they're just quicker movers on that, less approvers, and those AI engines really want content owned by the brands. FAQs, like if you go to some major large CPG brands and go to their actual like website of like cookie.com or whatever, that would be, there's not a ton of content there as far as ratings, reviews, testimonials, FAQs. Why not? Like that just doesn't really exist. And a lot of the smaller brands are great at creating content, and very niche content, very thoughtful content to that, not an ad, but a content. And so that's what they'll grab and pull in, and just see how it ranks.
The other element too there, Dave, is just if you think about big CPG and anything that has, a legal department involved of like, what can we say and what can't we say? Like, find me healthy baby food. Well, if I'm big CPG, that needs to go, can you call your product healthy or not? I think, smaller players will not have those big legal teams telling them no all the time, and also, right or wrong, probably more willing to take risks in that space to drive their business. So yeah, just another reason to be able to move faster is just not as much legal red tape to cut through to get there.
I get it. I agree. All right. Well, we will fast forward a year and we will see how many of these 12 come true. So 8 this year. I hope I get 8 or more next year. We'll see. We know there'll be some winners and there'll be some not yets in that space. But I would say we have exhausted our time, Chris. So thank you very much for doing this with me. I look forward to this every year. I look forward to it again next year. And for all of you on the call, thank you for joining us. If you want to reach out to us, these are our emails, Dave or Chris at digitsagency.com. Reach out with us on LinkedIn. We're very active there and kind of can become friendly with you there. So thank you, everybody. And have a happy holidays.
Thanks, everyone.